Good morning. Welcome to Real Estate Radio Denver, the most informative hour of radio over the weekend. We're here every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you, and I'm your host, Tom Souther. Real Estate Radio Denver is dedicated to building Denver's real estate, housing, credit marketplace. We're here to give you that timely truth that we feel you're not getting in the national news outlets. It's so skewed to what's going on here in Denver. We're just a different world. It's funny how often that raises its head. We're just, I think, 6 months ahead or a year ahead of where most other places are. You know, we're farther along the recovery. We probably failed a little earlier. We've already gone through the foreclosures. You know, we're getting back to, quote, I don't know what normal is anymore, but we're a lot closer to it than we were, than many places are, which is what the national news is focusing on, and sometimes even the locals. So come on and listen to us every Saturday, 9 to 10, right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. We'll give you that real truth. We're here to help rebuild that Denver marketplace, and we do that one home at a time, hopefully yours, by helping you, giving you a little education. We connect you with some great professionals. We've got two in here today that I think you will learn a little bit from. And that's whether you're buying or selling a home, whether maybe you have a credit situation, maybe you need a financial tip. We're here to help you with solutions. And there are just some tremendous opportunities out there. You need a little bit of trusted advice, and that's what you get right here. So in addition, I encourage you to call the show. We have our off-air number. Unfortunately, we can't take your call on air, but I would love to get your questions answered. We will reach out to you personally and make that happen. You can reach us at 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818. I always encourage you also, we've got some great information posts. You can listen to our shows. You can find them on YouTube. Go to our Facebook page. Please friend us. That's Real Estate Radio Denver on Facebook. And find our page and give us a like. We'd really appreciate that. And we'll keep you up to date on what's going on with the show and what's coming up and et cetera. Got two really good guests today. I have with me, and I'll jump right into it instead of giving you my opinion on a couple things that are going on in the market, and we'll probably get to those through the show. But let's introduce our guests. I have Tracey Throop with us. She's with Homestead Title. We were just talking about what title to give her, and we're just going to call her Queen of Title Sales.
That would probably sum it up, yes.
Tracey has been in the title business for a few years. We're not going to...
Don't divulge.
No.
A long
because
time.
If I told that, I would have to tell them how long I've been, hanging around too, which is
just getting better.
Somewhat embarrassing.
Getting better day after day.
Yeah, it is.
We seem to stay.
Tracey, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. And you are a regular, and I love what Homestead Title does for me, for the show. You guys are a great partner. Before we introduce guest number 3, tell us what's going on with Homestead, because I think you guys have done some cool stuff.
We have. We are on to our 4th office in the Denver metro area. Very excited to announce our Highlands office. We'll call that our central location now. We opened up about a month ago there, and we're excited to have that location. And so, it just gives us a little bit more areas for us to offer our clients to close at. So it's an exciting place to go, and we're on our, going on our 4th year in business, I guess, coming up October 1st, I believe. So yeah, we're just we're growing leaps and bounds, and it's an exciting time to be in the industry. So.
Many title companies are contracting right now; they're laying folks off, and you guys are hanging in there.
We are hanging in there.
You guys are purchase focused. I've got a purchase transaction going on with that new office in the Highlands. I'm excited to say, and as usual, the level of experience in your offices is just extraordinary.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They're doing a great job.
It's not the name; it's the experience behind the name, and that's what we focus on. And like I said, we would love to chat with you if you need any help with title. We're always here for you. So thanks.
All right. Well, let's move on to guest number 2, or maybe I'm number 1 and you're 2 and I'm in year 3. I don't know. Whatever. So anyway, I have with me also Bryan Zerr, who is with Equity, Colorado. Bryan is a real estate agent. Bryan has quite extensive experience, even though he's a relatively young age. He tells me he's been involved in investment property since he was, like 12. And has been a licensed real estate agent for several years and expanding pretty rapidly. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much, Tom.
Tell me a little bit about Equity Colorado. I know we didn't script this, but let's throw in a little description of what they are, because they're a unique boutique shop that I think does a great job.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Equity Colorado is 2 office locations in Colorado. We have our Denver office, which is right in the heart of the Denver Tech Center. We have our Colorado Springs office, and we've been around similar to Homestead Title. Been around for 4 years and just rapidly expanding. We are up to just talking with our office managing broker, Todd Schuster, a couple weeks ago, and we're up to 225 agents in just 4 short years.
That's incredible.
So just building very rapidly, and we just have a great support staff over there, and just a lot of quality agents.
Yeah, I think a number of the kind of mid-sized shops, small to mids, are really doing well in this marketplace. You don't need that monster name that's on every billboard to be successful, and I think you guys do a fantastic job in getting the job done for your customers.
Well, thank you so much, and I think Tracey said it best. I mean, it's not necessarily just the name, although we are building quite a name for Equity here in the metro area, but it's the people behind that name. We're each our own brands, and we go out in the marketplace, we give it our best shot, and make happy customers.
Hey, Bryan, give me, I got about a minute left here. Give me 30 seconds on what you really love to specialize in. I know you work a specific area.
Yep.
You've got knowledge beyond that, but where's your level of expertise?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, I know the whole metro area pretty darn well. I'm a Denver native, but I specifically specialize in Greenwood Village, where I live, and I'm pretty well connected, and just have a true passion for Greenwood and the demographics and the services the city offers to its residents.
You bet. Nice tech center location, lots going on right there.
Sure.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver here on News Talk 710 KNUS. I want to give you out our off-air number one more time, 720-515-1818. You can leave us a message, ask us anything, question, can connect you with Bryan. If you want to speak with Tracey about title, I'm sure she'd love to have that conversation, so please use that number, 720-515-1818. We're going to share with you what's really going on in some of the trends in real estate when we come back. Don't miss a minute. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. I'm your host, Tom Souther. We're here every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on News Talk 710 KNUS. Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate you listening. I want to encourage you again, friend us on Facebook. Real Estate Radio Denver on Facebook. Just put in that in the little search thing and hit a like for us. My producer is laughing at me because I'm such a Facebook idiot, but it's all good. We'd love to have you as a friend and keep you up on what's going on with the show. Lots of great information. I have with us today, as a matter of fact, 2 great guests. I have Bryan Zerr with Equity Colorado. He's a real estate agent and specialist in the DTC area in Inglewood and Greenwood Village in particular. Sorry.
They confuse you with those the addresses.
Yeah, but they're pretty darn close.
Actually.
Zips are the same. Yeah,
it's kind of weird. I never understood that. I've lived in Greenwood Village forever.
And I also have speaking Tracey Throop from Homestead Title,
Hi.
Who is senior account exec and covers most of their metro. Expert in the title business and how to make sure that when you close that real estate transaction, you really own the property, which is kind of important. I don't know. Yeah, a little important. So anyway, Bryan, we weren't talking, but we teased that we were going to talk about some trends.
Yes.
And I know you have a little bit of passion about these things, and there's been some cool stuff. Denver is so unique. A lot of markets are contracting. Denver is blowing up, not only, in sales, but, rentals. That's what's kind of crazy, which I think is pushing that real estate market too. Tell us about what.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. I mean, there's a number of of trends going on. I mean, I think one of which I just wanted to kind of run by our listeners today is just the growing demand for renters here in the metro area, and not just here, but nationally. But I would say, especially here in Denver, we just have certain demographics that really are greatly influencing the demand. As many of you probably know, we're at a 13-year low in vacancy. I think last time I checked, we were at maybe like a 4% vacancy, Denver metro area wide. And then you go over to the single-family homes, and you're seeing virtually zero vacancy. I mean, it's like 1%, which basically means it's zero occupancy because of the turn times. But so yeah, it's just incredible. So I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. We can kind of go into the
I'm hearing stories. People are breaking into fistfights on lawns on rental homes because there's just such a shortage. But the amazing thing, the interesting thing of that, not only is why, which is, I think, a great story, but what's that effect on the purchase market as well? And what's that do to rental rates when we look at that rent versus buy comparison, which, we're here to promote, home ownership. And I think it's the American dream. And I encourage everybody to check that out. We did a show last week on first-time home buyers and how easy that is. And hopefully you were listening and realized, you don't need 20%. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need all of those things. It's amazing the people that we get into homes and they spend less than rent.
I guess I was going to say, most importantly, the payment is sometimes almost half. I mean, just depending
after
on
taxes, it's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy stupid to rent right now.
Yeah.
If you can possibly buy.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I just threw out about 15 softballs at you on what's going on. Let's start with rent vacancies are so low. What's that do to rent pricing?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it's you can only build apartment complexes so quickly, and in fact, sometimes you can't even build them because, for instance, I think it was last week or the week before, Littleton City Council, basically dismissed proposal for a new apartment complex down there, and so somebody's can't even build them because they don't want you to build them. So
communities are very interested in their density and how many people and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, hey, no, they're looking at Boulder and going, if we control this better, our property values are stronger.
Yes, absolutely. And so, obviously you can only add inventory, over periods of time. And so when you have all these individuals that are wanting to purchase lease homes, it just, as you know,
doesn't add up.
up.
So what's that doing to rental rates? Let's say your average 2-bedroom apartment that 5 years ago was what, $800?
right.
Yeah.
What's it today?
Oh, good heavens. Obviously it's going to depend upon exactly where you are in the metro
Of
area.
course.
But I mean, I don't know. In some cases, 50%.
I think easily.
Higher.
I think in the Denver Tech Center area, I know this
yeah.
from personal experience recently in shopping around a little bit. You can spend $1,700, $1,800 on a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh, yeah.
And 12 is not out of average. And you're in home payment range, at those
and
kind of
then
rents.
some. And then some.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you're looking at top end places, you're pushing $1,700, $1,800. If you're looking at bottom end, maybe you're at $1,000. But still, that's a lot of rent money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why do you think there is so much new demand in that rental market? Where's that coming from?
short sales. I think people, obviously forced into the rental situation for the duration of the short-term slap on the hand kind of a thing. And, that's up to 4 years. I mean, you're sitting in a rental property for at least minimum? At least two.
On a
more
short
like
sale.
4, right?
Yeah, and sometimes, it depends on what else happened with that
Right.
short sale. If you did a bankruptcy and whatnot, you've got
Right.
3. But at minimum, but short sale is 2 and for basic financing. So that's I think a cause.
And I think that's someone gets foreclosed on or has a short sale. Yeah, they might be eligible to purchase a new home a couple years from then, but then there's also that psychological impact that has for that buyer. So they get scared. Is this going to happen
to me again? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, my credit. Not only did I have a short sale, but I also have a lot of credit card bills. Maybe I had to declare bankruptcy. And so that takes a long time to both psychologically and financially recover from. And so, I mean, certainly.
And I'm going to shoot a hole in that, actually, because I want to make sure that you understand the that credit repair piece, particularly when you have a bankruptcy, can happen very quickly.
Really?
It really can. You just need good advice, and you need to rebuild.
I come to you, Tom.
Ask somebody that understands what that process is. But, I don't want to do a show on credit, but that bankruptcy is a restart, and it's amazing how fast you can restore that credit if you have the right advice. And you can definitely get there in 2 years or 3 years with a bankruptcy and be ready to go. But you've got to plan for that and move forward, versus many people put their head in the sand, do nothing for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then find out, oh gosh, my
could have done it. Yeah,
my credit is in the same place it was 5 years ago. When if you'd started that process early, they want to give you new credit after a bankruptcy because they know you've been cleared out.
Sure.
So the good news is you can rebuild pretty quickly, but you have to do it proactively, and you have to actively search out and build that credit profile again right after your bankruptcy, right after that incident. Short sales, if your credit wasn't too bad other than you had a property issue, then, that recovers pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
So, those are great things. I think also there's just a huge influx of people in Colorado. There are more people moving to Colorado than I believe, and I don't have the exact statistics, but than any other state in the nation. So they're moving.
Yeah, it's a destination state.
It's a desirable state, particularly I think with the new marijuana laws. We're going to be just overrun.
Bringing in those 20 to 30 somethings.
Yeah,
yes,
it's incredible. But that quite honestly I think is a factor as well. It is. There's a lot of talk about it being a destination just for that purpose. Yet alone, what a beautiful place to live.
Yeah.
So
all
of these things add up.
All of those things add up, and then kind of going to point number 2, we discussed foreclosure, short sales, bankruptcies, but then also the young adult demographic, age 25 to 35, and Tracey and I are kind of talking off air about some of these points, but we're having these young adults graduate college, and they're in their maybe 4 years, maybe it took them 5 years or 6 years or whatever, but they're coming out of school with all the debt. Yeah, and so that's going to take a long time to to kind of pay off. And Tom, you could speak better about this than me, but that's when you've got debt and you've also got maybe a car payment and other credit card debt as well. It's kind of hard to qualify for a loan in some instances.
Yeah, definitely. The student loan thing, that is a personal. That hurts. I see this constantly with my loan application customers, that it's amazing the amount of debt that some students are coming out with, that I don't see them getting out from under. And the good news is our student loan programs now, the repayment plans are often based on your ability to repay. And you end up, even with some of those student loans being forgiven after a certain period of time, 10, 20 years, depending on what kind of industry you're working in. So I'm seeing those payments on those being reasonable, but just massive amounts of debts. I just was working on a loan for a couple who had almost $300,000 worth of student loan debt, 2 attorneys. So yes, they had advanced degrees, but I see kids all the time with in excess of $100,000 worth of student loan debt on bachelor's degrees, in psychology, or and I don't want to single out somebody's passion.
Yeah.
And if that's your passion, great. But these numbers don't add up. They just don't. And,
and then the salaries that they get coming out aren't. It's just it doesn't.
So it breaks my heart sometimes to see people saddled with this debt, and there's a issue with our education system that those prices for that schooling has escalated so dramatically over the last 5 or 10 or 15 years. And I, speaking from experience, I have 2.
I have a freshman in college. I
have 2 in college that I'm writing these checks for, and I am desperately trying to make sure that they don't come out with $100,000 or $200,000 in debt.
Absolutely correct. For a state school,
and it's crazy. CU is a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm paying out of state tuition for a state school, and I'm almost at $40,000, and that used to be an expensive private university when I was in college.
So I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but anyway, we ran.
So the demographics from 25 to 35. So there's the debt. And then household formation, families. We're getting married in our late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s. We're waiting longer to do that, to get settled down. We'd like to be mobile, especially in the employment arena today. We want to be mobile. If if we're called to move over to San Francisco for that new promotion, we want to be able to do that without having to worry about.
Not San Francisco, San Diego.
San Diego. All right. Hey, I like the sun. There you go.
It's all good. I think those all are issues. The bell curve, the demographic of the children of the baby boom. Those are my kids. I'm at the very end of the tail end of the baby boom. Not to date myself, but so my kids and much older than me are in that prime buying their first home demographic, and that is exploding in the marketplace. There's so many of them that are coming out of school. They're looking for their apartments, which is building up the rental market as well. But also the first-time homebuyer market is just booming right now. There's so many young families and young professionals and young whatevers that are in that first-time homebuying market right now. And the older crowd, not that I would be part of that, it's downsizing. They're deciding how do I move to some other great property. So a lot of these things all tying into what's going on with making this Denver market just explode. And not to go off on that rant, but I don't think it's changing. I don't think that's going to ease up anytime soon.
I agree. And basically I know a lot of young professionals, CPAs, young attorneys. They want to live in those, specifically here in Denver, they want to live in those nice, cool, hip areas. They want to live in Lodi. They want to live in Wash Park. They want to live in downtown. That's
a great segue, and we're going to come back because that's the next trend is where and how do they want those neighborhoods put together. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver on News Talk 710 KNUS. I want to give you out our phone number again, off air, 720-515-1818. Come back with more trends in the Denver marketplace. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. I'm your host, Tom Souther. Thanks again for staying with us. We're here every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. I have with me Bryan Zerr from Equity, Colorado. He's a real estate agent, specializes really in that DTC area, Greenwood Village, but has a pretty broad background throughout the metro. The other thing I want to throw out, Bryan, welcome back. But
thank you.
You're also a CPA.
I am.
You've got a broad background, which is amazing. I think that adds a little experience and knowledge to what you do. You worked for a bit with some of the very large accounting firms, so these numbers are good for you.
I love it. One area that some agents kind of try and shy away from, just from kind of maybe, or just kind of being scared of some of the the numbers and the figures, but is investors. I love working with investors because there's just an odd dynamic with can we make this unit work financially to rent it out, and that's something that I'm real passionate about.
Sure, yeah, and I'm sure that gives you a much stronger connection with not just how does that number work out today on paper, but what's the tax ramifications? How does that
exactly?
How does that all tie into what your real bottom line is? Because that can totally change that property from being a failure to it being okay.
Absolutely. And then earlier, Tom, we were already mentioning the benefits of home ownership over renting. I mean, right there, tax advantages. I mean, obviously you get that mortgage deduction, and you get write off the taxes and all that stuff. But
let's bring in Tracey Throop with Homestead Title. Tracey, welcome back.
Thanks.
And the tax advantages are pretty cool. One of the things that we really love to do, and we talked about this last week, so I encourage you to go to the website and look for that show on first-time home buyers, and some of that tax credit is we at Citywide Home Loans always, if we can, for our customers, tie in what's called a mortgage credit certificate, which gives our buyers, particularly first-time buyers, almost up to about a $2,000 direct tax reduction every year. It is a crazy, crazy cool tool. I would love to talk to you about that if you're a first-time home buyer. It's one of the things that separate us from the mortals in the mortgage business, that we try to do all of these things for our customers and add that little extra value, and that mortgage credit certificate is one of those things. Give us a call at 720-515-1818. I would love to give you all of the information on what that mortgage credit certificate is, not to do a little commercial for myself, but hey,
you're allowed.
I'm the host. I guess I can do that. So anyway, Bryan, that CPA in the background, I think, really helps through that process.
Well, thank you.
Let's go back to trends. We were talking about neighborhoods and some of those things, and I think that is so critical anymore with most people, particularly in your age demographic. Not to separate me as old, but you're a little younger on that scale than I am, and your generation seems to be more about what's in my neighborhood. Tell us what you think everybody is looking for in those homes, in those neighborhoods, and what's important.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great question. As you mentioned, as CPA, so I was at a CPA firm downtown Denver, and one of the big items of discussion at lunch all the time amongst young professionals was, so what'd you do last weekend? Where'd you go to dinner? Was it at that hip, cool mom and pop store, right out in Uptown, or if you live in the suburbs, maybe you weren't as cool. Yeah. Maybe you went to Village Inn like myself.
I was never that cool.
And so, it's really kind of becoming like what did you do? Did you go to Wash Park? Did you, play a little volleyball? And there's so many, and that's not to, kind of downplay. There's really cool areas around Wash Park and Platt Park, and there's something to be said about the location and being able to walk to areas, and there's just a certain draw to my, to the 25 to 35 year olds, to be able to do all that stuff.
I think it's so critical right now for most everybody to have all those things in their neighborhood. Whether that's the grocery store or the little theater, all of those kind of amenities that are so important to daily life. The restaurants, the taverns, whatever that is, that's your activity. That's within either walking distance. Yeah, Tracey, absolutely.
Seriously, with the drinking and driving laws and stuff, people have to think about that stuff, and they have to, go, hey, I like to be near some hip, cool places that I can just walk to, and I don't have to worry about getting in trouble or any of that. So that's a huge draw for that age group.
Whatever. I'm totally with you. The neighborhood thing I think is just so important in that search that great real estate agents understand and are helping their customers with. What do you want besides the 3 bedrooms and the nice garden, the picket fence, all of those things, but what else is in the neighborhood? And that's so critical as a trend today versus 10 years ago. You're seeing builders building communities that have all of those amenities almost built in.
Right. The senior citizen housing, mother-in-law suites, separate entrances and things like that.
Let's talk about some of the new building trends, because those are cool things.
It is pretty cool. I just went to the Parade of Homes about a month ago, and 3 of the builders offer those mother-in-law suites, and that's kind of, I was really blown away by that. I was like, well, you know what? It kind of makes sense though, and so that's definitely a trend for sure.
Yeah, and I think even the term that they're using, if they're using mother-in-law suite, because that was a term of ages ago, and I think if you went to Parade of Homes 5 or 6 years ago, those were not called mother-in-law suites. They were called maids' quarters, or
a nanny quarter,
nannies suites, and that kind of thing. And I think that's indicative of what's going on demographically. Us old folks are moving back in. I'm going to encourage my kids to buy one of these homes, because I'm ready to move in right there, skip on the rent and the mortgage payment, let them take care of the yard, and I'll be good to go.
But it is true.
Bring me meals and the cold beer.
Yeah, I have. It's good. It is interesting. I have senior citizen parents, and they live on their own in North Carolina, but their retarement's not. One would think that you could be comfortable at the retirement that my parents have established. It's still. I'm God bless them for having what they have, but there's some folks that can't. They can't decipher whether they're going to pay for their prescription or whether they're going to buy groceries. It's that serious, and so that's why that trend is happening. Yeah.
I totally agree. What other stuff do you see going on in the building world that's new and kind of cool?
Now, one of the other things we're seeing right now is when I was just talking with a builder a member of a builder council, and he was telling me we're giving a lot of options. A lot of people are opting out of having formal dining rooms. it's a room that you probably use a couple times a year, and then the rest of the year it might just be dormant, and it's wasted space if you don't use it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I kind of got out of that formal dining room thing a long time ago. So I totally get that. One of the other trends that we were talking about earlier is how interesting and pet friendly places are getting. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. As we continue to evolve as a society, we love our cats, we love our dogs, and sometimes that. It rivals maybe our affection, for our children. And in some respects, they are our children.
Or people are opting to have pets instead of children.
Exactly. So I mean, obviously, when you have a family, you want to have good, schools for your kids. Well, if you have some pets, you probably want to have a place to take them. You want trails, you want parks, you want dog parks, and so you're seeing dog parks kind of sprout up all over the place. And I would expect that trend to continue. And I would also expect that. There might be a little bit of a premium on those on homes that are closer to dog parks than others, because if you can walk your dog to the park and take them out after work, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver here on News Talk 710 KNUS. I've got with me Bryan Zerr with Equity Colorado and Tracey Throop from Homestead Title, and great conversation on just what's going on in the trends, what's going on in building. Some of those great things. We're going to come back, and we've got more there. Maybe help you with understand why that building market is kind of spread out and taking a little longer than it used to. Everything's on fire right now. But I want to encourage you, please call us with questions. Call us with anything. If you want to hear more about that mortgage credit certificate, use our off-air number, 720-515-1818. 720-515-1818, and somebody will get back to you pretty quickly with that information. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. We're here every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on News Talk 710 KNUS. Thank you so much for joining us. We're having a great discussion about what's going on in the real estate market. It's kind of a catch-up show with catch up as opposed to ketchup and mustard.
There you go.
We're just trying to help you to understand why trends are happening here in Denver. We're expanding. The market is growing. People are moving here. There is an overflow of people who've gone from homeowners to renters because of foreclosures and short sales and whatnot. Particularly in the springs, you look at the rental market that is just gotten hammered down there because 300, 400, 500 homeowners got displaced by fires. There's all of these factors that happen throughout Colorado that maybe just aren't there in other places. So lots of great things. We've talked about trends, and we've talked about what's going on in the building world. I want to go back there, but let me introduce my my guests again. I have Bryan Zerr from Equity Colorado. He's a real estate agent expert, particularly in the DTC Greenwood Village area. I really encourage you to call the show. Let me put you together with Bryan. If you're looking in that area specifically, he is a huge expert in that area. 720-515-1818. 720-515-1818. Otherwise, he's pretty stable in the other markets about what's going on in different neighborhoods throughout Denver and whatnot. So he'd love to help you. Bryan, thanks for coming back and staying
Tom.
with us. And we have Tracey Throop from Homestead Title, Queen of Title Sales.
What a great
I'm
name.
just giving her that title. It's going to stick. It's one of those things. It's like being called, I don't know, something in high school.
Yeah.
So sorry, Tracey.
No worries.
You are fantastic at what you do. You do a great job in getting people connected with the title world, which is, foremost in their mind and thoughts.
It is, and I've been doing it a long time, and so if you ever have any questions, just give us a ring at Homestead Title. We can be reached at 720-420-4400.
Absolutely. So let's head back to the building industry, because what I'm hearing, and Tracey, you're closer tied into the Builder Realty Council, which kind of ties builders and real estate agents and others in the industry. I'm dabbling there, but haven't jumped in with both feet. My understanding is they're running about 9 months.
Yeah, I know.
From order to delivery on a new home sale, which, if somebody would have said 3 years ago that it was going to take you 9 months to get a home built by a production builder, they would have said, I don't ever see that happening. But
that's where we're at.
They lost the workers.
Yeah, they all migrated out when the building industry fell down.
Yeah. Went to zero.
Zero.
We're not going to sugarcoat that. There was no home building going on for 3 or 4 years there, almost zero.
And so, so they had to find other employment and, went into the oil field kind of market, probably something labor-wise that way. And now it's incredibly difficult to find labor to build the homes. And so that's what's taken so long to get your house done.
And it's pushing those out. And the building industry is on fire because people can't find used homes. Right, Brian?
There's no inventory.
Absolutely.
You're seeing, 6 months ago, good homes in the first-time homebuyer range or even second homebuyer range, anywhere up to $350,000, we're probably getting 5, 6, 7 offers in days. Now, maybe they're, I don't think they're getting 5 or 7, but they're getting a couple.
Yeah.
They're getting 2 or 3, and that shortage of inventory of homes on the market has pushed people to
buy and build.
To buying in these new neighborhoods. So they're doing really well. There's lots of those sales going on. They're just, great, we can get you done, but now you're looking at spring of next year. So that's a huge trend. There's lots of builders out there building lots of great homes, and we've talked about some of the things that they're doing. I love that, Parade of Homes is as mother-in-law apartments.
Yeah.
Gosh, who would think? And that they're calling them that. So, that's a big trend that's coming back. Let's go to just how important it is to have an agent, that real estate agent that really understands the neighborhood you want to go to. I shudder when people tell me that they're a real estate agent and their focus is Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. You can't know that marketplace.
Yeah.
And Brian, you flatly tell everyone I focus on, my main focus is Greenwood Village and in the DTC area, and I can help you throughout the metro, but I really get that neighborhood. So if you want that neighborhood, I can be more help to you than anybody else.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to tell people that. I mean, some people think, well, you're really limiting your market when you say that's what you specialize in, but I mean, that might not have been the case that might have been the case 20 years ago, but we're in the internet age. Anyone can go on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, any of those websites and get information themselves. The time period
of good information.
Wait.
Well,
might not be.
Let's distinguish.
Not quite be accurate.
That's a great point.
Right.
But yeah, at least you can get some information on the neighborhoods and whatnot. But gone are those days because the consumer is becoming more intelligent and they're more resourceful than ever before. And so it's one of those arenas where you've got to get better as an agent. You've got to figure out what works for you. And one of the emerging trends as a realtor is to localize and to become an absolute expert on your community. Everyone has day jobs that they do during the day, and they can't. For instance, maybe have coffee with the mayor of Greenwood Village and know what's going on in the community, know the developments or whatnot. Well, as agents, that's what we do for a living. We know the communities, we know the restaurants, we know zoning. The good ones do. If you have an issue with with something and they need to go to their city council member, most citizens don't know who their city council members are. And a realtor who localizes will say, I just had coffee with them a month ago. Yeah, I know, so-and-so from District 1 or whatnot. And that's just, those are all those things that a lot of consumers aren't thinking about when they're buying a house is all those little things. Where are the parks, what are some of the cool eateries and stuff. And that all has an impact on our home values and our quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the days of asking your family, okay, who's the family real estate agent that...
Right.
Sold me the home in Arvada, isn't going to necessarily know Greenwood Village, or a neighborhood in Denver. You're not not that they're bad people.
No,
they're probably wonderful agents, but I agree with you that an agent that really understands a community if you know that's where I want to be, is going to better serve you than a broad generalist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to tell our listeners that there are certain situations where it is good to know a generalist, and that if you're relocating the Denver metro area and you don't really know where you want to live, I mean, and I do deals all over the place. It's just that I specialize in Greenwood Village. That's where if I have an extra hour during the day, I will read on what's going on in that market. And that's what's smart to do. So if someone said, I want to move to Denver, metro area, and I could say, okay, so what are your price points? What do you like? Are you a big park and rec person? Do you like to live in high rises? Do you like the city life? And I can outline, okay, well, maybe low highs where you want to live. Maybe Wash Park. Well, you like to live in suburbia. Well, maybe you want to live in Highlands Ranch or Greenwood. And so being able to at least kind of focus it in a little bit more, and then once you get to that point, localists will take it home.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing trends. I'm seeing. Let's talk about some of the bargains. I like to talk about that a little bit in this marketplace because I have customers who still come to me and say, "Gosh, why can't I find a distressed property, or why can't I find that great deal?" And I think that inventory is gone in this marketplace. Are you seeing that as a trend, since we're talking about trends and tying it up?
Absolutely.
That the magnitude of short sales and foreclosed properties is not there anymore.
It's one of those times where you just got to smile and you got to say, well, where were you 2-3 years ago? Well, it was rampant. And
yes.
I mean, we're human beings in that it's human nature to think, think about right now. And so we weren't able to put things in perspective. A couple years ago when current interest rates were at the very lowest of lows,
yes.
People were like, oh, well, it's nice, but they still weren't snapping up properties as much. It kind of took them a while to catch up to that point. And so we just think about right now. We don't think about history. And we're just getting out of a period where distressed property was rampant. And now all of a sudden we want to buy them and they're not there. And we wonder, well, where are they? Well, I mean, as we know, real estate is cyclical, and it'll probably take a little bit of time for us to be able to return to that. I think I just read something earlier today where distressed property sales, or actually maybe it was foreclosure filings, are down like 40% from in August from like July. I mean, that's incredible. That's a month, but it's one of those things.
Yeah, no, they are fading fast. I have those numbers here somewhere in my stack of stuff, but I don't know where that is. The foreclosure market is slowed so dramatically that part of our job, yours as a real estate agent and mine as a mortgage professional, is to educate our customers, and that's what we do here in Real Estate Radio Denver, give you the truth about what's going on. And can you find a bargain? Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be hard and hard fought, and are you going to have some competition for that bargain? Yes. But our market is what it is, and there's very little inventory of homes on the market. And those ones that are great deals are, people see them and they're snapped up. And I think things are priced pretty right in the marketplace. And the good news and the bad news is that number is higher than it was a year ago or 2 years ago.
Values are up.
And that is our reality. But what our focus on this whole show has been that boom in this marketplace. So, I don't want to give any broad crystal ball prediction here about what happens with values in this marketplace, but more people are moving here than leaving. Which means there's more demand than supply, and I don't see that number changing. I don't see Colorado becoming an undesirable place to be in the United States.
We got voted the most desirable state in the United States above Hawaii. So there you go.
That's interesting.
Just got voted that.
Maybe I can trade a Hawaiian for space or something.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's the way to go. Because I'm thinking maybe after this week, maybe I want to be in Hawaii. But, who knows?
That's right.
But I think all of those things lead to we're in an increasing market versus a declining market, and they are what they are right now. And now is a great time. That's what my message has been for 2 years. Is when's a good time to buy? Now, right now. Yeah. Rates are probably going to be higher. Prices are probably going to be higher. So, now, not 6 months from now.
And to the critics out there that are saying, well, the market might go back down and I just don't know. I mean, that's a realistic, thought. But at the same time, we can only grow out so much. And one of the scarcest resource, I'm talking to some of the biggest market leaders out there in the real estate arena, is water source. We only have so much water to be able to use. Sure. And so, what happens when we start running, low on that? Perfect example is just northwest of Castle Rock and that huge development that the name escapes me right now, but there are a ton of issues with getting water rights for that huge development, and they ended up getting it pushed through, and they're going to start building here shortly. It's going to be a huge development. I think maybe Sedalia, Loviers, somewhere in that area. But so yeah, I mean that's so what's going to happen. Prices are going to continue to increase. You can't continue to expand like that. So.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So the message there is to me is always now. Now is a great time. I want to thank you for coming in this week, listening to Real Estate Radio Denver. We're here every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m., right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. Again, our off-air number 720-515-1818. I want to thank Bryan Zerr from Equity Colorado for coming in. I'd love to put you together with him. Give us a call. And thank you again, Tracey Throop, as always. And we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Thank you very much.